Hey everyone, it is Natalie from Being Intentionally Creative. And this project is kind of being done in a couple of steps, like my Halloween one was, but not this video. I promise will not be as long as that one was. I want you to notice I've got these funky looking resin pieces on this black piece of paper. They're odd shaped. I'm going to show you the mold in a second. And I had let some of my run off from one of my other previous things I was playing with drip into this mold. And I like the shape of these. And these are going to be made for the second part of this project that we're going to be working on. So I just wanted to show you those, and then I'm going to show you the mold, which might help you out a little bit better to see. Isn't this great? You get to see? Not really. Anyway, okay. So here's the mold. I don't know if any of you have it, if you've used it. It's sort of got the funky, different, it's just funky and different. That's the only way I can refer to it, and the stones that come out of it are all faceted with, because it's so many different sides. So what are we going to do? Well, first off, we're going to make this mold because I want these stones for the second part of the project. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be making up 6 million different batches of resin to pour in here because I don't want all of them the same. I have these pieces of, they are glitter, but they're strands of glitter. And does it say on here what they are? No. Well, yeah, it doesn't. So they're, I'm trying to think of the word, and I don't know what it is. But anyways, there's strips of cut up glitter here. This will show you better. And actually some of the other ones. So it's all split up, right? It's cut into slices instead of, glitter. I know, I'm not explaining that well at all. Anyway, I've got a bunch of different ones here. What I want to do is I want to put that in one of these and like mixing it up, obviously. When I say mixing up, I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So I've got different colors and I want to distribute them throughout. Now that is going to probably be a challenge and a half in itself, but that way all I'm going to do is once I've got these in the different spots, I thought this would be really nice. This should give you an indication what we're working on, and get them in, make up clear resin. I might put just a tiny bit of, I've got a really pretty silver here that I used in something else that you'll get to see in an upcoming video, but like that's a really pretty silver. And I put a little bit in the other, piece I had done that you haven't seen yet. And it just, that's what these were made out of. And it kind of just gave it a nice glow to it. So I want to maybe use that in my resin, but I won't use a lot of it. So it's a matter of, can I get these little pieces in here, make up my clear resin, pour it in, and then end up using them in the project. Now I do have some little bits and pieces in here. So let's see if my thought process of how I'm going to get these in here is actually going to work for me. That's the first trick to this. So let's start with the purple and see if we can, I'm just using my tweezers. I'm not sure how well this is going to work for me, but let's see if we can just get some of these in here, because I don't want them solid, but I want something in them. And again, as I said, I don't want to be mixing up, 14 different batches of resin just to do this. So I thought, well, if we can put this inside like this, then perfect, right? So that's working kind of decently. I wasn't sure about that. So let's try this one next. And then what I'll do is I'll skip ahead off camera and I will fill these up, and then I'll bring it back just when it's time to put the resin in. So that's working. Oh, I'm so pleased. Now, are these going to sink once I put the resin in? Yeah, that's totally possible. you know, I can't guarantee that these won't sink, but that's okay too. That's okay. I don't have an issue if they do sink. And let's do some of this red and green. I'm so happy that this is working, and I'll clean up. I'll take my masking tape and just clean up around this. And I guess if I get some of another color in one, I could try and cover them up. But let's, yeah. So that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to put a bunch in, some of them, and then I'll clean up so I don't get some of the colors in. And I'll bring you back once I've got my resin mixed up, and we will fill this up, let it set up, and then we'll go on with the next part of this. So I'll see you in a little bit once I've got this done. All right, we are ready to continue. Got a couple of tips for you and something else that I sort of did. I had 10 colors, so I have one color that's got an extra, the red green. But anyway, that's besides the point. So the first thing I decided to do was I have this Wow Galaxy Glow. It's an embossing powder. Now, for whatever reason, I can't get this stuff to work the way I want to for cards. So I've actually taken some of this and I've put it in with each slot. I just thought randomly, I got to use it for something, so let's put it in here and see how that works out for me. And I just want to take I've been giving my resin a warm water bath, so I just want to get it out of there because I don't want it getting too warm and setting up. So let me just put that there. I'll just cover it up. Okay. My tip for you as far as cleaning this up, this was a lot messier. I actually took strips of my masking tape and put it down and then lifted up. Now I still have some out, but it looks a lot better than it did. So I just, for the length of this, and then placed it down and patted it and lifted up, and then got another piece, and so on and so forth. So I just thought I'd share that little tip. Usually when I'm cleaning something up, I just get a small little bit of masking tape and go down, but I thought, nope, that's going to take me too long to do. So I just thought I'd share that tip with you. The other tip I want to share with you that I learned while watching videos on how best to use this stuff was they suggested using a metal spoon or something to take the product out if you're going to, and not plastic, because plastic, specifically for these guys, because they said with their products that they work on taking the static out of their product before they put it in the bottles. They say not to use plastic because plastic will reintroduce the static. So I was using this metal spoon to put the product in here. And I just thought I would, you know, share that along with you. And I also used metal, well, as you'd seen, my metal tweezers to put the tinsel in it. That was on the back of one of the containers. That's why I'm saying the word tinsel now. Anyway, let's get to pouring this. You know what I did not do? I did not put any color in that, and I meant to. So let me just quickly add some of this in. I don't want a lot. I really don't want a lot. Just enough to color it. Give it a bit of shine, but not, you know, overwhelm it. So I've put very little in there. Yes, I stirred this by hand this time. I didn't really feel like getting my isotoa out, my mixer. So I just did this by hand. So what are people up to? Are you doing anything fun and exciting today, or have you done? Or this is, you know, coming up on Monday, so I just wonder if you had any plans over the weekend. You do anything fun? How was Halloween? I don't know how many of you have kids, or, you know, your grandparents or whatnot. We don't get children here. We never have where we live. I used to think the neighbors' kids would come down when they were younger, but no, we never. Since living here, we have not had any children for Halloween. Not that I've always had. I had candy in the house this year. I could have most definitely handed, you know, it out, but yeah, I don't normally buy Halloween candy because we don't have anyone. All right, we're almost ready to start pouring this. I've got a couple of little bits of mica powder that hasn't quite, but I think we're sufficient enough now. The other thing, and the reason I was giving this a warm water bath, is because it is starting to get colder here where I am, and specifically because I work in my basement, it has gotten colder, so I'm warming stuff up. Now, the other thing I want to do as I start pouring this, and I'm not going to make you watch all of this. We'll just do some together so you can see, and then hopefully I can get this in without making a major mess. That'd be really cool. Okay. And I think I'm going to let it settle just a little bit. But I've got a toothpick, and what I want to do is mix this up a little bit, just so it's not all settled on the bottom of these. So, just a matter of getting this in. Oops, that one went over. I really don't want these to go over. That's not going to be helpful. This is going to be time consuming. Anyway, so we'll just do the one row together, and then I'll show you what I want to do with the toothpick, and then I'll carry on. We'll let it set up, and then I will carry on with my next part, because I know there's something I can do while this is setting up. Concentrating. And I guess another good reason for cleaning up the tinsel, darn it, is if I overspill, then I can just push it into another one of the containers, one of those holes. Okay, so we've got that done. This is definitely going to take me a little bit of time. So I thought with the toothpick, what I could do, not all I could do, is just take it in and mix it up a little bit. Again, I don't, care really how it turns out. I just figured it might be helpful to mix it up just a little bit. And if we get air bubbles, again, not a big deal to me, right? For what I'm using this for, I don't think you're really going to notice. I just wanted some color. So I am going to carry on, because it'd be very therapeutic for you just to watch me do it, but no. I'll just mix these up as I go along. And yeah, when I get going on the next part, then I will bring you back. I'm just going to take you to the end of this row just to make my life easier. It's funny, some of this tinsel is more static than others. Okay. Have I got a green? Yeah, down there. Okay. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to finish up, and then I'll bring you back. Okay, so our little stones are still curing. They're not going to be ready for quite a while because it's a 24-hour resin. I in some ways wish I had 4-hour cure resin, but at the same time I'm thinking that would have made it even more of a mess than what it turned out to be. And it wasn't bad. You just have to take your time when you're pouring into something like that. So I'm actually just going to turn this lid around so you can see through the lid, not the fact that I, bought something at our local grocery store. So I had some that I just, I ended up wasting because it was starting to set up. I've made another one of my holders, or in the process of making another one of my holders for my bottles. So that's kind of cool. Again, resin setting, so it was a little bit touch and go on that, but that doesn't matter for those pieces. What are we going to be doing next? Okay, so I apologize for the fact that I don't have a lot of space left on my table here, But I have this silicone mold that hopefully you can kind of get an idea when I get my hands out of the way of what it is. Just move it more into the camera. Anyways, it is a Christmas house piece. The intention, I don't know whether to tell you that or not. I kind of want to still keep a secret. Anyway, we're going to be working on this next. I have no idea how much resin this is going to take. Typically, the idea with this is that you're supposed to leave it white, and then you're going to be able to see light through, all the different sections. I don't want to leave it just white. What I'm thinking of doing with my resin is actually mixing up. I've got it's a grayish paste that I'd actually like to use in this. But before I even do that, I want to add some color to it. So I have pulled out a whole host of different colors. I'll quickly take you through them. I've got a Recollections bronze, which I want to use for the chimney. I have Let's Resin Seashell, which I'm looking at putting at the top of the house, the peak, if you will. I have a brown that I'd like to use for these little houses. That one, and can you see over here? There's a little, can you see? Hopefully you can. The two little houses, which I want to use the brown for. I have yellow, which I want to use just to sort of outline around windows. I have gold pink. I have no idea, none whatsoever at this point, where I want to use the gold pink, but I pulled it out because it's just seemed to say, take me, and I'll throw it somewhere. Gold, I want to do up and around what looks like a half moon and the star at the very top. And there was somewhere else. Oh, I was thinking of doing this sort of swirly piece in here in gold as well. I also have, I have another gold. So gold and gold. So I'll figure out where I want my golds to go. I had thought of making the chimney sort of a combination of black and silver, but I like the idea of the brown more, so I'm just going to put those off to the side. And then I have a very, very pretty chrome by Gelmont. It's meant for nails, but this and the red I have are absolutely stunning, stunning colors. And obviously I want to use the green for the trees, and I want the front door to be a very bright red, just because. So I'm going to end up using a couple of different tools to do this because it's going to be a bit finicky. And again, I'm not going to make you sort of follow along while I do everything, but I'm going to use my makeup brush. I'm probably going to use a couple of them, and I'm going to make sure they're decently clean. So these two. The big one I have is going to be too big if I try and use it. And then I'm also going to use some of these smaller micro brushes to get into, so for example, around my windows. I am limited on space, as you can see, so I am going to be flipping this around to fill it in and whatnot. A couple of things. One, it is a matte mold. It's not shiny, and I think it's sort of meant more for the ceramic resin than regular resin, but hey, I'm totally cool with that. The other thing I've noticed, I did get this from Temu, is it has, I don't know how to really, what to say it is, but there's spots in the mold that look wet. And I don't know how that came to be, or if there's stuff that got, spilt on the mold. But yeah, and I've tried lifting them off with my masking tape, and they won't come up. So I'm not sure how that's going to impact. And it's sort of sporadic. It's not all over the place, but there are spots on it. So we'll see when we finally get this out of the mold, what it's going to look like. And, I might have to put a clear coat over top of it. I noticed it funny because it was in the bag. I thought, ooh, that's kind of odd. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see it very well or at all. But it almost looks like they got something wet on the inside of it. And it's part of the mold now. Or maybe when I put a resin in it, it'll pull it up. I don't know. Anyways, let's start and do a little bit of this. And then, as I say, I will carry on. And then before I pour my resin, we'll have a look at what I've done, see if I've changed my mind, because, well, you know, I do every once in a while. So I just want to, and I'll work with each color. I want to follow the same sort of principle I did with the sort of the gems I've made over here, that I did one color and then I went on and on and on. So figuring out, I've sort of as a side note, I've been working on Christmas cards, and around the windows I've done yellow to make it look like there are lights on and whatnot. So hopefully I don't make too much of a mess doing this. And I figured I should start with my light colors and then work my way up from there. And hopefully this sticks, decently enough. Yeah, and then it's just a matter of trying to get it so it's at least fairly uniform with the coloring. Again, that's just my perfection wanting to poke through. And I hadn't really planned on going up the sides with the color. I was more or less just going to stick with, and I'm hoping you can see where I'm working, stick more with just getting it around the edge of things. So we'll see how it goes. And I don't plan on, sort of filling it all in with color. I just thought some spots it'd look kind of neat if we got some spots filled in. And then again, whether you use resin or ceramic resin, that's, because it's matte, I can see why some people would use a ceramic resin for it versus doing regular resin. And then you could paint it too, right? And as far as the amount of resin I needed to use for I've done, it probably took around 50 mils. I made way too much, way too much, but that's okay. But yeah, it was around 50 mils. And as I say, you're going to want to have some patience with that, just because you don't want to be over pouring. And I did end up getting quite a few air bubbles. Most of them came up to the top. And for what I'm going to be doing with the next part of it, it's not going to matter if there are air bubbles in them. So I'll do a little bit more with the yellow, and then we'll move on to another color. I will do the door next, because I'm kind of excited about making a nice bright red door. And I guess if I wanted to, I could go around these triangles here, because it's a window, and then go over with the red. Why not? So, curious, has anyone else done this mold? And if you have, we just might as well do this. And if you have, did you do it in resin, or have you done it with ceramic resin? And the only reason I'd kind of hedged from not doing it in ceramic resin is because of the intricate spaces, right? Like, you'd want to be really careful taking it out. I'd hate to do it in ceramic resin and then have pieces breaking out all over the place. So here, we're just going to do this like this. And I would think it would take a lot of ceramic resin to fill this up. I've been marking down in my book what amounts I need for different molds. Like if I'm using polyurethane, am I using regular resin? Am I using ceramic resin? Don't like when it bounces off. Yeah, my ability to draw straight lines as such as leaves something to be desired. I will not lie. Okay, so now let's do the red, and then I'll maybe do the chimney just because with you here, and then we'll, again, because it's going to take me a long time to sort of fill this in where I want to. I'm not gonna hold you up. So this red, again, very intense color. Just trying to think where I want to put it because I don't want to. Right. Yeah, this is going to stand out. And I'm going to try, like, I'll go around the yellow. I really don't want to take it over top of the yellow. Not sure why there's a hole at the top of that door, but there is. So let's see if I can just sort of make it not a mess, eh? This is going to be bright. It's going to shine nicely, I think, too. Yeah, I bought some stuff from Gelmont. One of my friends I used to work with sells it. And when I saw this and some of the other colors, I mean, they're just absolutely stunning colors. And, you know, you see somebody start using nail products and whatnot in their artwork, and you go, ooh, that makes sense. Now, I will admit I am getting, and I don't think it's going to, you know what, I don't think it's going to matter if I get it up and around the edges. I know there's light's supposed to go through these, so I don't know that it matters if I get, I guess we're going to find out, aren't we? Color up and around the edges. And a recommendation that if you're, see, because we have the bottom of the door here is open as well, and the top, I like to work so that I'm pushing stuff in. So I'm going up like this at this end, and I sort of came down this way. Just a little bit of a tip so you don't end up throwing this stuff out into areas you don't want it. I mean, you know what micas are like. They tend to go where they want to anyway, but at least if you're throwing it in the right direction, less likelihood, I guess, of getting it everywhere. Okay, just a little bit more of this door to do, and then we'll quick do the chimney, and then I will carry on while you go and not watch me do that. Okay. So let's cover that back up. Yeah, it's kind of interesting how it's sticking to the bottom really nicely, like down here, but around the sides it's kind of a hit and miss with it. like it's not uniform by any, so I might go back over that then. Okay, let's just clean that off of that, and then we'll grab the copper. And we're going to turn this around. And I don't know if anyone else does this, but I sometimes find it really helpful if I can turn pieces around. I feel it gives me a little bit more control. So this is the bronze. It's a really pretty color. Looks fairly dark there, but it is, again, I'll show you once I get this done, like all done, then I'll let you have a look at the colors so you can get a better idea what they look like. And all my colors that I use will be listed, and who the company is producing them. Okay, I think that's gonna look nice. Alrighty then. So I will carry on. Here's where I want them to be. And we'll bring you back once I have it all done. Okay, I am back. You'll notice I don't have my house sitting beside me. I'm going to go and just pick it up off the other table. And I'll show you what I've done. To the best of my ability, I want to make sure you can see that. Okay, we'll sort of start at the bottom. That's what the bottom looks like, and then I'll just do that to show you the top. I did use the rose gold. I put it kind of weird. So let me flip this over so you can kind of understand why I say it's kind of weird. Okay, so that is what it's sort of going to look like when we make it. Again, this is a really flimsy mold, and I know I'm getting some glare off of that. So let me put that down because that side's shiny. So I decided to use the rose gold in the center because I used some of it along the sides here. Like get my paintbrush out. I feel I can show. So in along this side and on this other side, I did the rose gold. So I decided to bring it into the center, hoping it'd sort of be like a glow, if you will. From this being the white to this being a glowing, and I used white in and around the windows and the door and at the very bottom here. I think these are supposed to be steps or something. I don't know, but I decided to forego trying to do much of anything with them. The color of my resin, which is all mixed up and it is ready to go. Let me get that up there. All right, I just want to get this in place. My dog doesn't like beeps. I was using my mixer, so she's upstairs now trying to dig a hole in through the floor to deal with the the sound that she can't stand. Anyway, it's just making me chuckle. I use the Resin Granite Gray as my paste. I put in some Let's Resin Glow in the Dark Glitter White, and I put in a ton of this Creatology. I'm going to call it a holographic. Well, it's not really holographic. I wanted a glitter that would sort of give it some, I don't know. What did I want to give? I just wanted glitter in it. I put a lot in. I will not lie. I put a lot in. And I'm just going to go over the top of my resin with my long net lighter. I've made 200 mils. Here's hoping it is enough. Now, because I've got stuff to the right of me, I'm going to pour with my left hand. So you're not going to see some of this, but I keep running into the container that's covering up my baubles, or I don't even know what you want to call them. Okay, I just want to let that flow. Trying to get this so that the glitter, I don't know whether it's going to show up at the end of the day, but here's hoping. It's kind of odd doing it with my left hand, being that I'm right hand oriented. I do try and write with my left hand. Every once in a while I'll do writing with my left hand. I'm not bad. I'm not great. It's kind of messy, but it just, every once in a while it's like, let's just write with our left hand. And when I was putting in the colors, I was flipping this around and around and around, just so that I could, you know, get at spots easier. Yep, I didn't need resin in there, but that's okay. Let's get the trees done. It's got a lot of, it's like going around. Getting this in. I don't know if I'm a fan of molds like this or not, just because it's, you know, little spots you got to get into. And being that I put the glitter in it, does make it a little bit more challenging, I think, for it to flow. So if I can get it in different spots, then hopefully when we're all said and done, it gets everywhere it needs to. So this would be one of those molds you're going to want to, like, I want to say double check that you get resin everywhere you need it to go. I did take a little bit of brown and put it around the inside of the door. So in here, I went around and put some brown in there. Pretty sure it was the brown. Oh no, it was the bronze. I did the bronze, not the brown. And sort of to prevent my resin starting to warm up too quickly, because it was warming up with the other stuff, I, halfway through the mixing, I added my color. So I've probably made too much of this stuff, but I don't think I'm going to have made too much. And I guess it all depends on how thick you want this to be. Right? Like you may not have to make it as thick as it's, but hopefully I do have enough. I really wish I could pour some of this, with my right hand, just so you can see, but and if we have to clean this up some, we have to clean it up some. Okay, let me try doing some with my right. And I didn't spray because I didn't want to take, you know, any of the mica powders and whatnot off. And you're going to want to, I'm noticing as I'm pouring this that sometimes it's coming out really fast and I'm going, oh, I don't want this overflowing. It doesn't matter if it does because it's all sealed in. If you did over pour, like it's got some sort of, there's no openings in the mold, if you will, for, going in places it shouldn't unless you go over the sides. Yeah. Let's get a little bit more over here. And I didn't put a lot of the glow-in-the-dark glitter, so I don't know how that's going to, play out at the end of the day, or if it's going to play out, or if we're going to see it. That I do not know. But I thought I have it, and I need to start using up the product I have. The puppy dog has come down to see me. Now she wants up on my lap. Sorry, baby girl, you can't come up. So go lay down, please. No. She can get very insistent sometimes. I'm surprised she actually came downstairs. I was going to say that ended up in the wrong place. Oh, you were too funny. No, I can't help you right now. No. She doesn't realize I'm doing a video. Yeah, I know. Almost done. Stop. She's shaking like a leaf over here. I feel for her. I know. We're on camera, baby girl. Yeah, you don't care. And now I've got a fly around me. Oh, 'tis the season. 'Tis the season. It's okay, you're fine. You will be fine. The flies too. I don't know about anywhere else that people who are living in a colder climate, now that we're getting into November, and the flies drive me nuts. Drive me nuts. And then when they follow, I don't know about anyone else, they follow me. I'll be down here in my basement doing stuff, and then all of a sudden, I go upstairs and they have a sixth sense about them that they come up and follow you around. Okay, well, we're almost to the end of this. We're doing really good with the amount of resin I made. Like I have some left over, but not a lot. Put a little bit more. Alrighty. I think that's it. I'm sorry, I'm chuckling. She's gone back upstairs to dig through the floor again. She didn't get the attention she wanted from me, so she's gone back upstairs to dig some more. Ah, too funny. I don't know if you can hear her. She makes a lot of noise when she's doing it. And she's all of 20 pounds. 20, 25 pounds, but yeah. Okay. All right, I think we have enough in there. Let's just have a quick check. There's not a lot of resin left in here. Let's get my stir stick and just push this down. Where do we start at? 50, 20, not 25. We may have about 15 mils left. So 200 is pretty bang on with this. There's probably still spots I can put some more in. The little houses and whatnot. So I think again, if I made it in the future, I'm going to make 200 mils up just because. And it probably, I'm thinking about it. I put a lot of glitter in it, so that will have filled it up as well and created more like taking up more space. So 200, it'll be interesting if I were to do this without putting glitter on it. How much? Like if 200 would be enough. So that would be a good test. So yeah, I'm just dripping. I've got quite a bit of glitter on the bottom. We all know how glitter sinks. So I figure I'll just drizzle some of it in spots. But I really need to stop because I don't want to go over top of anything. So I'm just going to stop now. My trees seem to be pretty good. Some places, and I'm wondering too with the mold if it's sort of, because it's not a solid underneath, not solid with silicone underneath, if it's sort of bowing in bits in spots, and that's why some spots look like they're more full than other spots do. And their levels are higher. So yeah, I keep adding. Alrighty. Well, maybe we'll stop now and see how this works out. And so I have no idea, kind of no idea how I'm going to cover this, but that is my problem, not yours. So I'll figure that out. Anyway, that's where we're at. And then once my baubles over there have gotten hard enough, it'll be tomorrow morning for me. Then we'll take them out and we'll finish off the last bit of this. Yeah. And then we'll see how the final project looks put together. So I'm going to let you go. I'm going to figure this out as far as how I'm going to cover it up and get rid of the rest of my resin. And we'll see you for the next bit. Okay, we are back. My ornaments, call them what you will, these pieces that I made, I've taken them all out. You didn't need to see that. I've got a couple of thoughts, tips, call them what you will, in regards to this. So because my resin was starting to set up, I didn't really have an opportunity to mix up I'll call it the wow glow that I had put in here. So I've got a bit of a mess in these to clean up. So if you're going to do it, do your best just to try and mix stuff up so that it doesn't set to the bottom. I do have some of it on the pieces, but they're kind of flaking off. But I'm going to be able to fix that sort of in a moment where it's, yeah, it may come off of them, but it'll still be part of the piece we're working on. The other thing I found that was easier, I was initially trying to get these and push them up from the bottom to pop them out the top. Actually, what I ended up doing was I turned this over and I started pushing them from the bottom, which was a lot easier to get them out and didn't take me long at all. So I wanted to share that with you. And I'm going to have the fun task of either cleaning this up or making up another batch of resin and just throwing it in there and carrying on with my life. I'm not sure what's going to be easier. The piece that we worked on before the house, it is still setting up. It's not ready to be taken out of its mold, but I need to move on so that this video can get up in time. So I apologize for noise. I'm trying to get organized. So what are we doing next? We are going to be making the stand. Now, one thing I have done, and I want to put something down. I'll show you those pieces in a moment. Give me a second. I just need to wipe up my table. I've got some glitter and what have you on here. Okay, so we're making a stand next. This was sort of folding in a little bit, so all I've done is I've thrown a couple of the popsicle sticks in there, and I've used these ones versus these. These ones are a little thicker than the bigger ones, so I've just put 2 of those in there to kind of keep, because I need that spot to be able to handle the house when we're all said and done. So I'm sure you're finally getting the picture of what we're working on here. So anyways, I wanted to share with you that I had done that, just so that when the resin is sort of going in against this, it's not like pushing that in. I need that space kept as wide as I can. Perhaps, you know, putting in more sticks or breaking my sticks down and shoving them in would have been a better idea. I've just worked with what I've got right now. And I'm looking at this and I'm seeing that, well, I'll have to see what happens. I may have to make a specific piece that's long enough to go in there if this doesn't work out the way I want it to, as I'm thinking about that right now. Let's do this. Good thing popsicle sticks break as easily as they do. I think I'm going to shove 2 of these in here. So I have to break that down because it's too long. So I am going to work on getting, oh, now I'm going to get to a spot where it's going to be harder to break it. Ugh. Okay, that's not going to work. So give me a moment. Let me find a stick. And let's see if I can do this better. That'll probably work better. Alrighty. Okay, get that edge off of there. I don't like that. I really should have my X-Acto knife out doing this. Alright. Here, let's just get this out. Let's see if we can make it the right length. This doesn't need a lot off of it. So be very careful if you're doing this that you don't cut yourself. Yeah, never mind. Just gonna give up. I need to clean that up a little bit. All right, now that I've made more of a mess than I wanted to, that's perfect. Okay, so this will give me more stability. I'm going to work on making something better for this, and then I can just apply it out. So that's a little bit better. All right, so how we're going to do this. I had my resin made up. I added a little bit, just a tiny little bit of holographic glitter to this. I wasn't going to, but I decided I would. The other thing I'm going to recommend you do is that I meant to blow this out because it still had some of the bigger glitter in from the other piece I did. And of course I added my resin and I went, oh, right, should have done that. So if you're going to be using something, make sure that there's no debris from your previous whatever in it, or you're going to end up with it in here and either searching for it to get it out or just going, whatever. Okay, where are we off to? So I only have 60 pieces of these, and I wasn't going to make any more of these because I think the 60 will be sufficient for what I need. And I'm hoping that, we're just going to randomly place these inside here. I have this container that I'm going to put these into to mix them up. And I'm realizing that this container, now that might be some of the stuff coming off of it. So we're going to get these in here because I just really need to get a little bit of resin coating them. And then we can put these in, and then we can pour the rest of our, oops, darn little things. Where'd it go? There it is. Never mind it own and just go. Anyway, so we will cover these with some resin. I really should have cleaned that out first. All right. Okay, so let's take some of this resin and just pour it over these puppies so that we can put them in the bottom. And then we'll cover it up. I made 200 mil. I'm hoping it's enough. And if it's not, then I am going to finish this off with polyurethane resin. That was the decision I made. So we'll just mix some of this in. They look nice in the cup. I'll show them to you. Once they get out, then we'll see them. And I'm hoping this was a cool idea on my part. That's my hope anyway. I thought I've got this mold. Can we make this more interesting if we, right? Okay, I think there's enough resin in that. Okay. Now, I think these guys will be too big for back here, so I'm just going to, and we'll spread them out. I just need to get them in here, and we'll move them about as we need to. I really do want them sitting down around the circles, not on top of them. And it'll be interesting to see if I've got too many. I figured if I did 60, it looks like we're going to have more than we need. I wonder if it'll matter, as I'm thinking about that, if we have them sitting on top of the circles. Do you know what? I'm not going to worry about that. If we get little pieces like that. Okay, so let's get some of the, and I don't want to shove them right up against there, right? Because I don't want to mess with that. So let's pour some of the resin in. And then we'll need to not use that. All right. So let's see what happens here. We'll start at the back, I guess. I guess it doesn't matter, does it? And I had thought of putting these shapes, these diamonds, I don't even know what the shape is, into the house part. But I think unless I made them thinner, they would be too high for it. So that's why I didn't. Now I'm seeing one air bubble I've got already. So I'm going to have to see if I can work some of them out, and I don't know. Like I guess if I have air bubbles, I have air bubbles, right? And I should probably just sort of let this work its way through. Before I like fill it right up, just so it has the opportunity to sort of level itself out and get around these pieces. I mean, I don't think it'll be a big deal if some of them are sticking up. Okay. Getting down there, so I'm going to move it around just so I can see. It's always, I think, good when you're doing something like this, just sort of, if you can, move your piece around just so you can see if you've missed any spots with the resin. Because I find if it can find its way through to other pieces of resin or other spots where there's resin, that's a good thing. So I'm going to take and see if I can get some more of these in. And maybe we will. You know what? I may not concern myself and just throw them all in here because I can. I made them for it, so if we have a layer of them, then that's fine. So I'm on daylight savings time. I'm not sure with any of the rest of you, if you are. There is only one province in Canada that does not have daylight savings, and that is Saskatchewan. Lucky people in Saskatchewan. If you're a viewer from Saskatchewan, I think that's pretty cool, because we would like here in Ontario to do away with the daylight savings and just have it the same year round. But they've talked about it, and apparently, from what I understand, fact or fiction, that in order for us to do it here in Ontario, New York has to be on board. So I don't know what the deal is there, if there's a specific reason. So if you happen to live in New York, or you happen to just know in general why, let me know in the comments why we have to have New York on board. I'm just curious, because I don't know why. And it's interesting because I have a friend who lives in England, and they're about a week difference to us when they have daylight savings. All right. Throw that over there for right now. And let's fill this up. I think this is going to look cool. Or here's hoping, right? And I'm really hoping some of the bubbles come to the top, because I had seen one. So let me get rid of that bubble. Just wondering if I have my other glasses around. I guess if you see them and you can get them out, that's a good idea, isn't it? Because you never know how big they're going to be. I think we're good at the back here. It's just going to be at the front where these rocks are that I think are going to, you know, maybe cause an issue for me. But I'll spin it around later, once we're off camera, and work on getting any up that I need to get up. There's a big one. Anyway, I will work on that off camera. So what do you think of this idea? Do you like that I've done this? Do you think it's an interesting idea? As I say, I'm really hoping I have enough resin here. It's a little daunting when you get these molds and you look at them and go, I don't have a clue. But I think it'll be okay if I top it in polyurethane resin. And then I'm going to have to keep in mind, if I do this again and don't put the rocks in, how much, you know, extra I'm going to have to make. And the interesting and or funny thing will be if some of these float to the top. Well, we might be okay. And as long as the bubbles keep coming up, people, that'll be awesome. Oops, not over the side, Natalie. Wow, I think we're going to have just enough. Way to call it. Just soothing to watch as I'm rolling this around. Okay, I'm down to the last of my resin. Alrighty, take these off for just a moment. Alright. Okay, so there we have it. We're pretty much up to the top on this. I thought maybe a very thin layer of polyurethane, but I don't think I'm going to do that. So I'm going to go and search for bubbles. And we will come back when this is ready to take out of the mold. We'll take the house out of the mold and we will see how this lands. And I'm going to have to go in search of my tea lights. They're in my other room, and of course I've rearranged that, and now I've got to go find the box they're in. Anyway, I'm going to take care of some bubbles, and I will see you when this is all ready to take out of the molds. Well, let's get this video moving along. You'll notice I have a candle here. My battery operated tea lights are buried somewhere. Anyway, let's take these pieces out now that they have cured and see where we end up. I'm thinking I probably should take these wooden pieces out. Actually, I had one that just fell out. I'm looking, saying, there we go. That was easy enough. I'm hearing noises upstairs. I don't know what they're from. It's always a little freaky when that happens. All right. So I don't think I hadn't realized when I poured this that this was a matte mold as well, but that's okay. Sometimes things look nice matte. So here is our stand. which looks kind of cool. And then this has had some serious time to sit. Okay, if you can just wait for me a moment, there's way too much noise upstairs. I'll be right back. Okay, well, that mystery is now solved, so I'll carry on. I think I took my glasses upstairs with me when I went to. Oh, well, I can at least see, but not as well as I'd like to. Anyways, the noise was my dog taking, for whatever reason, her water bowl and knocking it around into the stove upstairs for reasons that are beyond me. She does that sometimes with different things, but it's very rare she does it with her water bowl. Anyway, that's what she was doing. Thinking, what the heck is going on upstairs? Come on, people. All right, so are we ready to have a look at this? So take that out of the way. I'm going to very carefully place this into the stand. We're going to turn some lights off. I don't recommend you using a lighted tea light for any of your resin pieces, just because I don't. Battery operated. As far as I would tell anyone, use a battery operated one, not a wick candle for these pieces. As much as they may not give off a lot of heat, I think it's dangerous. So I don't recommend it. Anyway, so here's what our house looks like. And I have to admit, I don't mind the matte look. I am glad that I colored it in. Now, of course, I'll put on my other glasses that are for really close up, because we had known at the beginning, I'd mentioned about some spots where it looked wet in the mold. And one of them was up here and around the star, and there was some in here. So it kind of adds an interesting feature to the piece. Again, it wasn't everywhere, but it does add, some interest to it. And if we wanted to, we could, coat this in resin and to give it a gloss sheen, or we could, I think, take a polish and do it. So let's just see if this will fit in here. It'd be nice if it did. Okay, we're a little off. It's not fitting in for me, so I'm going to have to do some sanding, but I want you to imagine. And I can see it's got a bit of a warp to it, which is probably not helping things any on this. So let me just carefully turn off this light. I don't know if we're going to get the full effect, so I'm just going to go run over to the light switch, and I'm going to get rid of that. Turn them off. Try and get my, I should have done this a different way. Give me a second. I'm going to turn this light back on for a moment. All right. So let's just lift this up. Put this like this. Yeah, it is warped. I want to get my hands, see the heat from the, okay, and I don't know how well this is going to show up for you, but so it gives you an idea. It's not the greatest visual in the world, but it gives you a little bit of idea. And I'm sure if we had this sitting down, the house sitting down where it belongs, and we had 3 lights in there, it would give you a better idea of how this is going to look. I'm going to oops. I wonder if backing this up would help us to see more of it. I don't know. I'm going to put the house down in front. Nope, I've got it on top again. Anyway, I apologize for not having enough light and the fact that this isn't sitting down. I am going to have to do some sanding on that. But turning this light back on so we're not in the dark anymore. I think it's really cool, and I like the fact that the stand is made in such a way that we can, use it for other things. You can put something else in here. But overall, and I'm just going to blow up my candle because we don't need that on anymore. Good, done. So let me just Yep, I can get that out safely. Get these silly things off my face. So here's a bit of a close-up with the stand. It's got quite a bit of weight behind it, which makes sense for the amount of resin that we used in it. And I figure because the stones took about 50 mils, this would probably take, if you were doing it with nothing, approximately 250 mils of resin. And there's what the bottom looked like at the end. So if it all depends, are you cool with it being matte? And I like it. I think it turned out nicely. And because I used clear resin and then just put the stones in. And this I'm just going to have to sand it down until I can fit it in there. And if I get a chance to do that before this video goes up, I'll post a picture of it. If not, I'll post a picture of it on my Facebook page. Anyway, that is our video. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've done this. For everyone who is subscribing and commenting, thank you so very much. It is nice to see that we're moving up towards 1,000 people, which is really kind of cool. You never know when you start these channels up how you're gonna manage. So I am appreciative of each and every one of you, your comments, your likes. It's all really cool. So thank you very much. Have a creative day with whatever you get up to. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.